Hi everyone, I'm so sorry this video has taken so long, but as I explained in the Facebook group, Zazzle has just made a really big change to royalties and earnings and all of that, which we'll get into in another video. But while I figure that out, I just figured it would be a good idea to move on to designing. We'll first do designing a product with photos and text, and then the next video we'll do graphics, so there is images, how to use those. So this lesson now we're just going to cover we're going to cover how to design products with that feature customizable photos and text. So to get started, you're going to log into your Zazzle account and then click on the little photo of you in the top right, or your logo, whatever it is you have there. And we're just going to go into saved designs, because I just want to show you where the products that you have designed but not published are all available. So this is the wedding invitation that I designed during the last video. So that's still going to be here. If I wanted to go edit it, or if I'm ready to offer it for sale, you can see there's the sell it button. That's something we will go through as soon as I've got more clarity on the royalties. So here you can see this is the design that I set up last time, and if you click on personalize this template, all of the fields, all of the text that I identified here as being something that customers need to replace is going to be listed here. And don't worry, we'll go through all of that again just as a recap. So here you can see this is all the information that the customer can change. It's a little bit tricky, unfortunately, scrolling here. But yeah, so these are all the things that the customer will change. And you'll notice that as the client makes those changes, it shows up on the left. So when the customer has finished adding all of this information, they will see exactly what their product is going to look like when before they order it. So that's a nice tool to have. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to cover now how to add photos. So I'm going to continue with this wedding invitation, because what a lot of wedding invitations have is a photo of the couple. So we're going to go now to personalize this design, scroll down, to the bottom, and you're looking for this edit using design tool. So you click on that, and now we're here in the design tool. So this is your design. Then on the left hand side you see there's layers. So there's this these tabs. So there's layers, and this basically is all of the content that you've got in your design on the selected page. So you'll see there it says front at the top, and you can collapse it, and back, and you can expand that. So this is now showing you the back of the invitation, and the front is obviously showing you the front. Now if you remember when we added text, so I'm just going to just add in something just to show you. So again, you click on the add text. I just want to make sure I go through this in fine detail. Okay, so on the left hand side here, you look for the text tab, you click on that, and click on the add text. So then you can add whatever text you want. You click OK, and it shows up with these, they're called bounding boxes on either side. You can then click and drag. So when I say click and drag, when you move your mouse over that text block, you see how it turns into the four-headed arrow. That means that you can click and drag that element. So you click, and then you can drag it to wherever you want. So I'm just going to put it up here because it's just for testing. Okay, so the layers view is the one you're going to be using most of the time. I'll come back to the other tabs in a minute. Alright, so I've added text. So again, you go click the text tab on the left, click add text, type in your text, and then you'll be able to click and drag it to move it around. You'll also see when you select an item in the preview, on the right hand side you'll get a context toolbar. So this is basically, this stuff on the right relates to whichever element you have selected. So if if you look at the right there, it's saying edit text. So if I click that, it just brings up that same text box where we added the text. You can change the font, and you'll see here there are the font categories. So if you're looking for script or calligraphy, just click there and you can scroll through, and obviously it's showing you a preview of what the text will look like. So you select whichever text you want, and if you click on the font name, it takes it away. Then you can change the color. If you don't want any of those colors and you want to select your own color, where it says custom color picker, you click on that, and then it brings up this tool over here, which is where you can then that little black dot indicates where the current color is. So you can see over here it's this color, and it's called a hex code. You don't need to worry about that. Alright, so now if you want to change the color, let's say I want to change it to a green. So I'm going to click in the bottom here, this bar, click more or less roundabout where you would like to select a color. Then what you do is you just click and you can drag around, and you'll see above the this color picker, you'll see that the color changes. So as I drag it around, you can see all the different shades. So you kind of drag it to wherever you would like the color, and then you can still move this either to the right. You can see it's now turning into a turquoisey color, and let's say I want to move it a little bit. Oh, that's a little bit, maybe there. Okay, so let's say that's the color I want. Not a good color for a white background, but we're just looking here. Now here, the size, you can see a lot of the script fonts, you have to make a lot bigger than you do the all the other serif or sans serif text. So we're going to make this quite a bit bigger. So I'm going to start with 20, which is double what it is now. Let's see how it looks. I think, let me click out and then just adjust it little bit by little bit. So basically I'm just clicking on the up arrow next to the size to increase the size, and let's say I'm happy with that. Alright, now you can change the justification, left, center, right, and you can also scale it if you want to. So if I click the plus scale, it's going to make that whole element, not just the text, but the whole text box bigger, and then I can obviously take it down. Now you'll see as you increase or decrease, the font size automatically increases or decreases. So if we go back to there, yeah, that's better. Alright, we then have a rotate option. So if I rotate left, it's going to move it 45 degrees left. If I go right, it's back to 0. If I go right again, it's now 45 degrees clockwise. And I can do it again and make it 90 degrees, whatever you want. If you want to get it back to where it was originally, you just replace whatever number's in there with a 0, and then it'll go back to where it was. Okay, so that's rotating. Now flip is not something that you're going to use with text, because what flip does, so flipping it horizontally, turns the text backwards. So that's not something you're ever going to use. So to switch it off, you just click it again. And then this you're also not going to use, because this is a vertical flip. So when you click on it, it just turns it upside down. So we can click on it again to go back. All right. Now the anchor indicates where in this text box should the text stick. So should it stick to the top of the text box, the middle, or the bottom? Now you often won't see much of a change in here, but where it does come into play is, let's say for example, okay, so now I've set the anchor at the bottom. So what that means is the text should stay at the bottom of this box. Now if I want to change the size of the font, and let's say I go to 20, you will have noticed that that's what it looked like before. Now I've made it smaller and it stayed down at the bottom of the box. So how is this different? If I go to middle, so it now should stick to the middle of the of that text box. Let's say I now change it to 40. If you type in the number in any of these things, you usually have to click out of it for it to make the change. So if you look now, if I undo that, so you can see that's where it was. All right, so before, when it was, the anchor was at the bottom, and we made a change to the font size, the text went down. It stayed at the bottom of the box. Now when we change it to middle align, so it should stay in the middle of this box, what happens when we make the font much bigger is it goes the, I know there's a much better way to explain this, better words, but I struggle, well, Lord, here we go. I'm struggling with words, so I'm going to do my best. All right, so essentially, you think of it as an anchor. Where is this text being stuck? Is it at the bottom, at the top, or in the middle? So when I say in the middle, if you look here, this was the smaller size. Now we went here, and let's make it even bigger. So let's make it 60. Do you see how the text expands both up and down, because it is sticking to the middle of that box? So if you see the middle of the box is here, and sorry, I'm busy pointing with my finger. The middle of the box would be where this dot or square is on either side. That's the middle of that box. So if you just watch that middle block there, and watch what happens when I increase the size, you can see that didn't move. So that text box is anchored to the middle. Then if we change it to the anchor on the right hand side here, we change it to the top anchor. Now if I make a change, I'm going to make the font smaller again, so I've made it 20. Can you see now how it has, the whole text box has moved now, because when I say it's moved, the text appears much higher, and that's because we anchored it to the top of the box. Okay, so just to show you again what it was before. So this was when it was sitting at the middle, but now I've changed the anchor to the top, which means whenever I change this The font size, it must always stick to the top of the box. So when I change the font size, it stays at the top. So when would you use this? How does this work? I'm going, oh, let me leave that there for now. Okay. So when you look at this text, so we're just going to ignore this because this is not going to go in the final design. So this is at the top of the page. So I like to make as much of my template as possible editable. Simply because there are people in other countries who speak different languages who do shop on Zazzle, and it just makes it so much easier for them to be able to replace all of the English text on the page with, you know, whatever their language is. And it also, it's not just for foreigners, foreign languages. You know, sometimes people have specific requirements in terms of the information they need on their wedding invitation, you know, sort of a more formal, traditional kind of a wedding invitation where, you know, the bride's parents are paying for the wedding. This line would be a whole kind of story about, you know, whoever, John and Jane Smith, hereby invite you, I don't know, you'll find that it's a whole story. This, together with their families, is quite a common one, a sort of a more modern one. But there also might not be anyone, you know, the couple is paying for their wedding themselves, so there is no information to add here. And in that case, all they have to do, the customer, so if the customer comes here to personalize this template and they see this line, they can simply delete it and it's removed from the wedding invitation. So I'm just going to put that back and let's go, oops, scroll down here, edit using design tool. Okay, so this text is right at the top. So if the customer adds extra lines, so like I said, that whole story about the bride's parents, you know, John and Jane Smith, blah, 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 all that stuff, it's probably going to be longer than this one line. So the anchor tells the tool where those extra lines must go. So if it's aligned to the top, and I now add, I'm just going to add the same thing, you know, just imagine that's 3 different lines of text. Because it's aligned to the top, you'll see the top anchor, so where the top of the text box was doesn't change, it stays where it is. And so all of the additional lines will go underneath it. So obviously for this particular piece of text, we don't want it to go down. Now we could anchor it to the middle, but that's also not a great bet, because now I'm just going to add more. So what this has done is, if you look at where the middle square is, and you look at the anchor on the right, we've set it to stay in the middle. So the text is anchored to the middle. So if I go and add in more lines, and then we click OK. All right, so you'll see the middle one didn't change, so it's anchored to the middle. But the problem is, depending on how long that text is, and you know, even at 3 lines, the spacing now isn't right. So a middle anchor is not a good idea for this piece of text, which of course just leaves the bottom anchor. So what it's saying is, this text must stay at the bottom. Any additional lines must be added above it. So if I go now and add in, you'll see it moves up, which means the spacing then is still right. So that's an example of where you would use the bottom anchor. Now if we go on to this one, there isn't much space to go up or down, because if you just look at the size of the font, and that's not something we can cater for. For example, let's say the customer wants to put the couple's first and second names or full names. That's not something that this design is going to cater for, because obviously if I go add in more, it's not going to fit. And I can't, because obviously this doesn't work. If it's anchored to the top, the text is now covering the and underneath that. If I made it middle, you'll see here that's not going to work either. It's still overlapping and it's way too close to the top, and the bottom will also not help us. Then it's going to overlap that together with their families. So that's something just to be aware of. Sometimes people do want to put the couple's full names, sometimes not. But that's obviously something the customer's going to have to figure out. You just need to be aware that when you design like this, and this large names in large is a popular design. So it's a good idea to also include other invitation designs that cater for the different options, where the couple they want their full names, wedding where the bride's parents are paying for it, a wedding where just the couple is paying for the wedding. You want to try and cater for as many different use cases as possible, because obviously you want to be able to provide or offer something for everyone. That doesn't apply to design, but just in terms of the text options and like the photo option, we're going to add a photo to the back of this invitation now. But I think it is important that it took me a little while to figure this one out, that there are some people who do not want a photo on their wedding invitation, but there are some people who do. So you want to be able to cater for both of those options. So I will have the same design, so it will be exactly the same, and there'll be one that has a photo on the back, and there'll be one that doesn't, so that I'm catering for both people. Obviously in terms of design styles, you can't cater for everyone, and you shouldn't try to. But just when you have a design and you're looking at what products to add on, and if you want to do variations, it is important to think about all of these things. All right, so the names, I would, it doesn't really matter where you align them, except maybe if the customer comes in and wants to change the font size, or the font. So what I generally do is the top name, I give it a bottom anchor, so that if they change the size, so just watch what happens to the name Michaela as I make it smaller. So you see how it's moving down. What is the size? 29. So that's where you want the top name to be, because it obviously needs to stay at the bottom here and not move up and cover the other text, or move too far away from the other name. So that one will be bottom aligned. I always make the and or ampersand or whatever it is a middle anchor, and then the bottom name I give that a top anchor, so that if you make the font smaller, you'll see the James it stays where it should instead of being in the middle or at the bottom. Okay, so oh yeah, so we were there. Okay, so bottom anchor, middle anchor, and top anchor. Alright, so this text I would give it a middle anchor, so that if they make the font smaller or larger, it's still going to be in the middle between these two elements. You want that spacing, I'm not saying in general, obviously for this design, that spacing should be around the same, so that means we need to keep this anchored to the middle, so that whether the customer increases the font size or decreases it, it's still going to stay in the middle of these two. What is that supposed to be? 10. Okay, so take it to 10. Alright. So then this one, again, it's because it's got space at the top, I would make that give it a bottom anchor, so that any additional lines will go up. Obviously there's not much space, but that's also why I strongly recommend that when you when you put in a date, always use or a day, use Saturday and use September, because these are the longest options for for days of the week, for months. So sorry. Yes, so use that. You can change the dates afterwards, but just in terms of while you're designing, just to make sure that the longest possibility here, the longest possible date will fit and look all right. So from there you can then change the day and the month to whatever you want, but just for when you're designing, just to make sure that it does fit. So this should never have to go onto a second line, because there's plenty of space for any possible options for the date. Okay, then the time would be an anchor of top. Top, by the way, is the default. So top, because if there is an extra line, you want it to go below that and not above, or yeah. Then here again there's space above it, so I would make the anchor, give it a bottom anchor, so that additional lines will go above it and not below and overlap this. Then the reverse here, so this is got space at the bottom, so then you give it a top anchor. Then this one, I would probably give it a top anchor, because again this should not wrap. That's where for this one I would suggest putting dinner and dancing to follow, just while you're designing, to make sure that it does fit, because the two options I've seen on wedding invitations are either reception to follow or dinner and dancing to follow. So dinner and dancing is obviously longer, so use that when you're designing to make sure that it does fit where you want it to fit. Okay, so that's basically the anchoring. Then the text stroke we also spoke about. So for example, this font here, when you just use it as it comes, what is it called? Bettina. So Bettina, if you add it in, that's what it looks like. and that could be a little bit faint. And so just to kind of make it a little bit bolder, that's where we come to text stroke. So text stroke will make your text bolder. So we just click on that little slider thing there, and immediately it's added a black stroke, and the thickness is 40. Usually the thickness is 75, the default, but it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, have a look at that and experiment with a little. Like if we double that, what's that going to look like? No, that's not great. That's a little bit too bold. So let's maybe try 50 and see. So you can adjust it either by clicking and dragging and typing in a number, or if you click out, then you've got the up and down arrows so that you can change it. So you can adjust it till it looks however you like. It is a little bit difficult to kind of, because you can't print out a sample just to see how it looks on actual paper. It can be a bit difficult, but that's why, what I had to do when I first started was have a look at all of the popular wedding invitations and have a look at the font sizes, because I had no idea. I mean, I used to design websites. I know what font sizes to use for websites, but I have no idea for invitations. So, you go have a look. Let's just go do that now. Where can I find one? Yeah, let's go here. Oh Lord, it's happened. What was I doing? Sorry, give me a second. Brain fog. Something on another product. Oh, shit. Oh, Lord. This is when I wish I was doing streaming. Then hopefully someone could remind me what I was trying to do. Oh yes, font sizes. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, better late than never. Oh, sorry, Siri just decided to interject. Okay, so this is someone else's product. So this is what I'm essentially suggesting that you do, because this is what I did to learn. I'm just going to go to wedding invitations so we can see some more. Okay, I'm just going to pick this one, first one. So this is a popular one, so it's selling well. If you want to see if it's had any reviews, you can scroll down, and if it has reviews, I think it says something like reviews for this product, but the fact that it says reviews for similar products means there's no reviews for this this invitation. But we're going to go have a look at it nonetheless. So we click on personalize because it's not our product. Oh wow, this is new. Huh. Oh wow, okay, I just discovered something they must have rolled out. Wow. Sorry, this is going to be fun now, because now I have to try and figure out how to change the font. Options? No. How do I? Huh. Oh well, I don't think we can do this anymore now. Sorry, just to explain my confusion. it normally just, when you click on personalize on someone else's product, it normally takes you to this screen, and then you can see and change the fonts and font colors. But it looks like they're not allowing. Huh. Alright, I'm gonna just try a different product just to see if it's the same on all of them. I mean, this is nicer for a customer, but because it's just much simpler than than this design tool. But I am not understanding how you check the fonts. Okay, I'm not going to worry about this now. I will figure it out and address it in the next video. So let's just go back here. But anyway, the point is, have a look at other people's invitations to learn about what the wording should be. Otherwise, you can always ask ChatGPT. But you will pretty much find the majority of wedding invitations have, I'm talking about on Zazzle, have very similar wording. Yeah. So, oh, sorry, I forgot where I was going with that now. Oh yes, I was saying learning from other. So your point is not to copy the fonts and the font sizes and copy someone else's design, but just to learn from them in terms of what size font is the average person using. And it's going to be different for business cards, for example. Business cards, the font is much smaller, but you also don't want your invitation to look ridiculous because all the text is huge. So you've kind of got to take inspiration from other people's designs and just take note of how large is text, how small is text. Yeah, and also have a look at, are they using sans serif fonts? I don't know if I spoke about that last time, but I'm just going to zoom in here to show you the difference. So if you look at Michaela, you can see on the M there are all these oh Lord, forgotten the word, the sticky outy bits. The highly technical term. So these sticky outy bits are called serifs. So this is a serif font. This together, you can see it's also got little thingies, or goedjies as we say in South Africa. It's got those little thingies on the text. This is script, so it's neither serif nor sans serif. Do I have sans serif in here? No, I don't, so I'm just going to change one. So I'll show you what a sans serif looks like. So I'm going to select sans serif here, and I'm going to go down to, well, I could use any of these, but I'm just going to use Futura. And so now you'll see that the letters are clean. There are no little thingies, sticky outy thingies on these letters. So that's essentially what the difference is between sans serif. So sans serif is clean, no sans meaning no without. So without those little sticky outy things. And then obviously serif has all the sticky outy things. Oh, sorry. Let me reorientate myself. Okay. So, why was I talking about serif and sans serif now? Oh, Lord, I don't know. Sorry. Okay, so let's just go back to text stroke. So, often the script fonts do need do need to be kind of thickened a bit so that they are legible. So that's what your text stroke does. So if you look at the and, I'm going to switch off the and you can see it's fainter. It's still okay. Some of them, I'm going to show you one now. where you could not use it without bolding it, because it's just, okay, very bad example. But I assure you there are some that you have to add some bolding to, because they just can't be, they're not easy to read. Okay, so that's basically what the text stroke is for. You switch it on and you can you switch it on by clicking on that thing. You can choose the color, so to match whatever color the text is. Oh, by the way, recently used colors will go here. So you can see all these greens was when I was trying to pick the specific shade of green for that testing text. So all the colors you've recently used will be here, and so you, instead of having to use this thing again, you just click on whichever one you want, and there it is. The other option you have is this little eyedropper tool. So if you click on that, you'll see that as soon as you move over the canvas area, it turns into a large circle, and if you move over, it's like a magnifying glass. So you might say, okay, I want that Lord, it looks like a green. Yeah, I'm just going to choose that one. So that has now changed the stroke color to green, and you're like, but it still looks black. Yeah, because we have to change the actual font color. So just remember, when you use the text stroke color, if you change that color, you should change the font color as well, because you can see now, you can see that it's green. Sorry. Okay, so that's the stroke color, and the stroke thickness. Then there's drop shadow. This is not something I use. I've maybe used it once or twice. It's sometimes useful if you have a background image and you're putting text over it. Sometimes it can help to have a shadow, but yeah, it's not something I would really use. But if you want to use it, here it is. You can change the shadow color, make it lighter, make it darker. Yeah, so here we go. And then the shadow direction. So sorry, let me make the shadow something more noticeable. So if I click and drag this shadow direction circle, you can actually see that it changes the direction of the shadow. And then shadow offset to the left brings it closer to the text, and moving it further right moves it further away from the text. Yes, and that's drop shadow, so I'm going to switch that off. Okay, then letter spacing. Now, letter spacing is not something you should ever use with script. Oh, sorry. I've had my cannabis oil and I've got severe cotton mouth. Okay. Yeah, so sorry, here we are. Letter spacing. Never ever for script, or whether it's calligraphy type script, all that sort of thing. Letter spacing is only for these the serif and the sans serif fonts. Okay, so what does letter spacing do? At the moment, it's set to 0.05. So if you just look at that line together with their families, and look at the spacing between each of the letters, and then if I increase this on the right, you can see it's put more space between the letters. So that letter spacing is 0.1 in the right hand side, you can see that. and if I click the up arrow again, it will increase that size distance between the letters, and you can just keep going. You know, you can go up using the up arrow, or you can actually click inside that box and change the numbers to whatever you want. If you want the little arrows up and down to come back, if you've clicked in here, you have to click outside, and then the arrows are back. But yeah, so you can adjust the letters. I would suggest, well, let me maybe not suggest and just say what I do is all of this kind of text. So together with their families, joyfully invite you, the sort of not main attraction text. I either put 0 or this 0.05. Even though the buttons will then go down to 0, it only goes up in 0.05 increments. If I wanted 0.02, I can just type it in. Yeah. So that's how the spacing works. So I would either have no spacing or 0.05. I kind of prefer 0.05 for the spacing because it gives the letters a little bit of air, but it's not too much space. Yeah. Now the bigger elements, the names, there you want more space because at the moment the space is set to 0.15. Now I'm going to change that to 0, and you see how that just does not, I mean, you can't compare the two. That obviously looks much better than, why is it so slow? Let me try that. I'm so sorry, this looks like internet. Oh, here we go. Alright, oh sorry, I should have actually showed that to you, but I'm sure it'll happen again. Every now and then it, you know, I don't know, it gets stuck. My internet might be, oh Lord, my internet might be on the fritz. Oh, what was I trying to do? Oh yes, letter spacing. Okay, so I was going to, oh yes, we removed it from there. You can see that is obviously not as great as that. That's definitely much better. And you could go up to 0.2. The only issue is then you might need to reduce the size of the font because obviously, you know, if someone has a name like Sebastian or something, you know, you can't have it go onto a second line. So, and obviously for a single name that wouldn't work. So you want to try and create a cater for most people. You're not going to be able to cater for everyone. I mean, I'm sure there's someone with the, you know, first name that's, you know, close to 20 letters, no doubt. But so you kind of want to strike a balance between accommodating every possible customer and presenting your design in the best possible light. Let's put it that way. You know, for example, we're going to talk about photos in a minute now, but photos, the photos that you choose, and when I say photos, it's what we're going to look for in a second, which is basically like a placeholder photo, a sample photo. In this case, it's a wedding invitation, so we want, you know, a couple, you know, a photo that looks like it's from an engagement photo shoot or something like that. And the picture that you choose is a big deal. You know, when I first started, and it's something I should have known, But I didn't pay too much attention to, the actual sample photos that I was using. And thankfully, I very quickly learned that it is very, very important. Even though the customer is going to replace it with their own actual photo, the one that you use is a huge element of your design. A great photo can sell your invitation because it just stands out. It looks great. So yeah, the photos that you use are important. Oh gosh, I don't know why I'm talking about that, because I know I was talking about the letter spacing. Oh Lord, I don't know. I went off on a tangent. Sorry. Let's get back to this. Okay, so the letter spacing. Anything more than 0.05 I wouldn't use for sort of your normal kind of paragraph sentence text. The date, I put a wider spacing, just because it's a bit bigger and it's not the same as this text. So I also wanted it to stand out. So it's in all caps, and the spacing is a bit wider. And then this one, which is very similar to that, also has the 0.05 spacing. So you also want to make sure that you have some, not that every element has to have the exact same spacing, but just that, for example, you can see that these text boxes are given the same, they have the same size. They are clearly not the main feature. So those should all have the same letter spacing and the same line spacing. Then, okay, orientation. So I've got the date there selected. The orientation by default is this one, so it's a horizontal. If I change it to that, you'll see now that the text, instead of running from left to right, is now running from top to bottom. Yeah, it's not something I think most of us will use often, if ever, really. Okay, so the other thing we discussed last time that I just want to recap is how you indicate which of these elements on the left hand side in your layers here, which of these elements must a customer be able to change. So if you go on the left hand side here with your list of layers, and what I discussed last time is to make your life and the customer's life easier, is to order your layers as they appear from top to bottom. So the easiest way to do that, especially if you've got a lot of stuff and it's all jumbled, is I just start at the bottom and I say, okay, cut and paste. And then the next one, I'm just going to do on my keyboard Control X, Control V, next one, Control X, Control V, and so on. All the way to the top, and then that's obviously on the left, gonna put them in order, so that at the end you've got a very neat and organized set of layers, if there are customers who want to change the font color or the font size or the font style, that it's nice and easy to work with. So if you look now on the left hand side, we started at the bottom, cutting and pasting all the way to the top. So in the end we've ended up with oh Lord, sorry, words again. The order of the text items here, we read from top to bottom, left to right, so it makes sense that we would start at the top and work our way down. And on the left hand side here, these, because we did that cut and paste, these things are now in order. You can see as I select each one as we're going down, it moves to the one below it. So it just makes it easier for you at a later stage if you want to update your design or something like that. It makes it easier for you to find everything. Yes, sorry, where, oh Lord. I must have been talking about, I don't know, because we were talking about orientation. I don't know how I got waylaid. I'm not even sure if I was waylaid. Oh Lord, sorry. Okay, so let's move on. So curvature. So just watch the name James, and you'll see the curvature is set by default to 0. But if I click the up arrow, it goes to 0.1, and you can see there's now a slight arch with the name James. And as you go higher, that arch, it gets narrower and narrower, so it you know, you can keep going to kind of, you see there, that's if you go to 1, it goes all the way around. So you can work with it, and let's say you kind of like that, but you want it a little bit less, you want to widen the curve a bit. So you go here, and remember, going up makes the arch oh Lord, narrower. So the text, if I show you now, whoops, oh, what am I doing? Sorry, so 0.8, if I go 0.9, you can see it's narrower. Now we want to go wider, so let me see, let's say I kind of want it somewhere between 6 and 7. So I can go here where it says 0.6 and just add in 0.64. There we go. And you know, I'm sure you saw the change there. So you can give it much more precise increments. Where you might do that is if you have a shape and you want to put text inside it. Sorry, I'm really so you want this text to be in here, but you can see that the arch of the name James and the arch of the circle doesn't match. So you now want to start changing it. So you go to curvature, and it's 0.64. Now I can see here that I don't need it to be flatter. I need this M in James to go up higher, so I need more of a curvature. So if I go 0.7, let's see what happens. Click off it. Now you can see it still needs a little bit more height, so we're going to go back and let's try 0.75 and see what happens. You know, that's better, but I just want to make sure both of these are aligned to the middle. Yeah, so I think a little bit more. I'm gonna say let's do 0.8 and see what happens. Yeah, that's better. Obviously, the closer you move it or the further away you move it, the things will change. And obviously, also if you change the font size, then that's going to change the arch. Although that's not too bad. Oh Lord, I'm really making a mess of this thing now. So that's curvature. That's something I do use fairly often. Let's, sorry, I must have really, I think I can just change that curvature to 0. There we go. Okay. So then down here on the right, you might have to click on the more options to see it. The first option says make object permanent and always visible. That's something I don't use at all, but what that basically says is, okay, make this object permanent. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know. It's not even letting me. I don't use it. I can't imagine any need for you to use it, so I'm not even going to go into all of that. So this is where you specify that this element, okay, there it is in the left hand side there, and you can see it's got a name. It says name 1 and then the name Michaela underneath. So what that means is this is a template object. So we came down here and we had the name Michaela selected, and then we went here and clicked on make this a template object. Oh, here we go again. Let's see if it's just gonna, yeah. Okay, so when you make this a template object, what you're saying to Zazzle is, when a customer wants to buy this, these are the elements that they need to be able to change. So obviously the names are a must. Obviously the date, the venue. These all need to be customizable. And as I said, I like to make as much of the text, if not all of it, editable, so that people can customize it exactly the way they want it. They can do that anyway by coming into the design tool, although as we saw from what happened just now, I don't even know if you can do that anymore, so I'm going to have to investigate this latest development. So yes, this is essentially where you tell Zazzle, okay, these are the items that the customer has to fill in, and product page label, that's where you say, okay, this is what it's called, so that when the customer goes to customize it, it says, there we go, name 1. Okay, so I make all of the text, or as much as I can, I guess, as a as a template object. So you select the element, you go down here, you click on make this a template object. Oh Lord. When you click on that, let's see if it'll let me, there we go. You specify what the label should be, so I just put host. You can put whatever you want. You can put together with their families. It doesn't really matter. You can put line 1, it doesn't really matter. As long as, because the customer will see in this box that you've marked, that you've labeled, whatever you've labeled it, they'll see this text, and they can see that on the invitation, so they know whatever you've labeled it, that's what it is. Still, it is helpful to try to make it a little bit easier for the customers by giving it a meaningful label whenever you can, instead of line 1, line 2, yeah. Okay, so that's the one thing that you will add in, is the label when you've clicked on this make this a template object. The label, and then this URL parameter name, don't let it scare you, that's automatically assigned by the Zazzle tool. So if let's say I go to this new text that we added, and I say, okay, I want that to be a template object. Oh Lord, I don't know what's going on. All right, let me try refreshing. Oh, sorry, I keep doing it where I forget to tell you. You'll see it now. Okay, so sometimes this pops up. Sorry, we couldn't process your action. Please try again. Either reload page or continue and try again. I don't know why, but the reload page doesn't actually work. So you just have to go to click the refresh in your browser, or your F5 key, and try again. It might just be my internet giving problems. Let's hope not. Fingers crossed. Oh no. Oh, that's great. Okay, so I can't show you. Well, look, I mean, I'm just gonna delete that, and I'll show you what another one that has already already had its template label and things filled in. Sorry. So this happens by itself. Oh, that's actually what I wanted to do. Let's bring that text back. Oh, never mind. Oh gosh, I don't know if it's gonna let me. Oh, it is. Okay. I've just copied this because I just need another bit of text, but I don't want, because I've copied it and pasted it. If you look on the right here, so the one at the top, it says name 1, and the URL parameter name is text2. If I go down to the second Michaela and look at the right, what does it say? Also name 1 and text2. Now the fact that this one is text2 and that one is text2 means whatever changes I make to this one is going to happen to that one as well. So you just need to be aware of that. Sometimes you might do a design where you've got the couple's names both on the front and the back, but you don't want the customer to have to type it twice. So then you say front and back, name 1 or whatever. But if you don't want these to be linked and to be the same, so you're just wanting to copy the style of that one, but you want to put different text in here, what you'll do is you go down to where it says name 1, and then you look at the text 2. Now what you have to go and do is look at all the other text. Let's say I want this to come in at the top. So it makes sense that this should appear first when the customer comes here to add in their information, or maybe it's that new screen. I don't really know. I'll have to investigate a bit. But so now let's say you want to use this as just the same style, but you want different text here, and you want it to appear at the top of the page. So you're going to go to the first line where we know we have a template field. You can tell on the left here which is a template field and which not, because the template fields have labels. If you look at the word and, it has no label. This one says name 1, and then there's the text that's actually in the text box. So the only one that doesn't have a label is the and, so that tells you that the and is not editable. Well, when I say not editable in the simple personalization options. Okay. All right, so sorry, yes, you click on the first thing, the first element, and look at what text number it is. So it says text 1, so that means it's going to come first in the list when the customer customizes it. So if I want this to appear above this, it has to come before text 1. So what comes before text 1 is text 0. So I change the 2 to 0, and I make it whatever, something else, and then if I click in here and I change it to something else, the other one doesn't change because they now have a different text number. So text can start at 0, but generally what I like to do, it's kind of something that has made my life a lot easier, is instead of doing this where you number this one 1, then 2, then 3, you know, when I'm talking about the text here. So they text 1 on the right, Angelina in the right, text 2, text 3. So you want them to go like that, so that when the customer is filling it in, it follows the same order that they're looking at on the invitation. So it is important that these numbers, these text numbers, are sequential. So what I like to do to try and make it easier to reuse designs, because obviously, you know, with brain fog, it's, you know, this can be, you know, a little bit, it's a lot. You know, when you want to be having a sort of fairly good brain fog day, when you're starting out, you know, to figure all of this out. Of course, now that I've been working with it for years, it's very easy for me. You know, I literally do what we just did, which was, you know, start right at the bottom and Control X, Control V. So it cuts it out. So in the end, you end up with this sequentially ordered list of layers, and they're numbered sequentially. But the problem is, let's say you now do a different design, so you're going to use this one as a template. So all you'll do is from your store, you just click to open this this design, and you'll start making changes to it, and then when you're finished making changes to it, you'll be able to click on the sell it button, and then you've got a new product. So instead of having to reinvent the wheel every time, start from scratch, you know, with all the text and the formatting and the numbering and all that stuff, it makes it much easier if you can just reuse your templates, and that's why I do what I'm about to show you. So it's important to split your pages or sides. You know, you might have a two-sided keychain or whatever it is. So you want to make sure that you can add text in the middle. So let me just go again, because I don't think I've really explained this properly. You're looking at Angelina on the right hand side. It says name 1 and it's text 2. So that means it's going to come underneath text 1. Then this one is text 3 on the right there. That one is text 4. This one is text 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So if I wanted to add an extra line of text in here, let's say I wanted to add the dress code. Yeah, I want to add the dress code. The problem is that if I want to put something in between it, in order for it to appear in order for the customer to customize it, these numbers have to go sequentially down the list. So this one is number 8, text 8, and this one is text 9. So if I want something to appear between text 8 and text 9, I've got to renumber something somewhere. So what I try to do, and it's not always possible, is instead of going exactly, you know, from 0, I never start at 0 on purpose. So, and by default, Zazzle doesn't, Zazzle starts at text 1. So when I say Zazzle starts at that, if I take off, is it going to let me do this? Yes, yeah. But is it going to let me do it? Oh, no, here we go again. Oh, Lord. Anyway, if you have text selected, I wonder if it's going to let me. No, it won't. Anyway, if I now add a new, totally new text box, and as soon as I click on this, make this a template object, it's going to immediately put text, and it'll have the number. Why is it saying text 10? Oh, maybe that. Oh, that's why. Alright, I'm gonna make it 11. Sorry, this should not be this complicated. Okay, so the last field is that one. So now, so you can see the bottom one is text 10. If I add a new text field, and I scroll down here and I say make this a template object, oh yay, it did it. It's automatically given this new text block a number of text 12. So that means it's going to come right at the end after this one. This one is text 10, so 12 would be underneath it. But we don't want it underneath it, we want it, let's say we're going to put it in between these two lines. So you now have to figure out how am I going to get, we go from text 4 to text 5, but I need this one in the middle. So I either have to renumber them going up or going down. So let's say in this case we're going to go, let's go down. Okay, so this one is number 4, which means we're going to change that to number 5. So this one needs to be number 6. So what you have to do on the right hand side is you click and drag to highlight the number you want to change, and we're changing that to a 6. Nathalie, I'm not thinking. Oh Lord, I'm sorry guys, my brain fog is a bit of a problem at the moment. Well, it's always a problem, but it's just much more of a problem. But I can do this. Okay, where did I go wrong? Oh yes, that's where I went wrong. Okay, so if you are going from top to bottom, adding space for this this text. So in other words, this one is labeled text 4. So we want that one to be 5, which means this one has to be 6. The time has to be 7. That's where I went wrong. That should be 8, and that should be 9. That would be 10, and this one should be 11. So what we have to do is start at the bottom and renumber them, because what I did here, it's actually good I've done it so I can show you where the problem is. Not there. Yes, here. Okay, so I went from top to bottom and I'm like, okay, that needs to be 4. That nonsense needs to be 5, which means the date needs to be 6. So I just changed it. But the problem is that was 5, which means the next one is 6. So you can see now the label for the time has changed to date, because they both text 6 and text 6. So both the date and the time are labeled as text 6. So that means they're supposed to be exactly the same. So I need to change. That's why I say you start from the bottom, because if you start from the bottom, so this is text 10, so I'm just going to change it to text 11. Oh, it's already used for text. Let's try 12. That might. Oh Lord, sorry guys, I'm having computer issues. Okay, great, there we are. Okay, so I had to change this one to text 14. It doesn't really matter what that number is. It doesn't have to go in order. So in other words, the fact that this one is text 9 and this one is text 14 doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that there's a whole bunch missing in between. It will just go in sequential order. So that's not a problem. But obviously, as I said, to make it make sense for you and make it easier for you to come back and edit or copy a design, it is important to get the numbering right. You can not give a damn and just be like, I'm just gonna add stuff and whatever, and the customers will figure it out. You could do that, but it's going to be a nightmare, because then it means when the customer comes to personalize, instead of it going from top to bottom, you could have venue up here, date, between the names, and it's going to be a nightmare for a customer to customize. And you're also obviously making your life much easier when you want to update it, edit it, use it as a template, whatever. Okay, so where were we? So yes, so I was saying you start at the bottom, not at the top, to renumber, because otherwise you're going to get overlap, and then you're going to have to change labels and numbers and all that again. So okay, so you start at the bottom. So I've given that one a text 14, which means this one can be 13 or less. Now I'd like to make it what was this one? 14, so I want to make that one 12. Now I don't know if this is just because of internet issues, but I find that you have to I don't want to just change this to 12. So if I select the 9 and I type 1, 2, as soon as I type the 1, it's going to update the whichever one is text 1. I think it's this line, together with their families. So what I prefer to do, so I need this 9 to change to a 12. But if I start by replacing that 9, trying to replace it with 12, the moment I press the 1, it's going to link itself to text 1. So how do I avoid that? I instead add the 12 on at the end. And I'm sorry, this is like a lot of detail, but it's stuff that does make life much easier. And it's all the stuff, the little tips and tricks that I figured along the way. So you saw what I did there. It was a 9, and instead of replacing the 9, I just added on the 12, because even the second I type the 1, it's going to look for a 91, but there isn't a 91. That's why I added on the end, and then just go back and delete the 9. So now it's text 12. So I would go from bottom to top, and what I try to do is leave a couple of, at least one number between each text element. Sorry, I know that probably doesn't make any sense. So this one is text 12. So this one needs to be the one that comes before it. So in other words, you would say, okay, well then it needs to be text 11 because we want it directly above the text 12. So it should be text 11. But what I would do then is, rather than making it 11, I would make it 10. So again, to change this from 8 to 10, rather than replacing the 8, just add the 10 on the end and then go back and remove the 8. So this is now text 10 and this one is text 12. So if I need to add any text in between these two, because now I'm doing different wording, for a different design, but I'm using this as my template, I'm just giving you the tips that have helped me in terms of cutting down the amount of brain power required, because obviously if you were to start from scratch every time designing a wedding invitation, it's a lot of work, and we all have different sort of experiences of the levels of severity and the types of brain fog issues we have, but I know for me it gets very overwhelming if I'm having a bad brain fog day. So I'm trying to give you tips so that you can save time and try to avoid the common sort of issues with the brain fog. And also, if you're typing up everything from scratch every time, there's also a lot more reading. Once I've created this, I don't even need to read the text anymore. I know what it says and I'm just using it as a template, so I'm just going to change the fonts and the colors, whatever it is I want to change to have a different design, but I might want to add an extra line somewhere. Let's say I decide I want this wedding invitation to have a dress code section, which is not a common thing. See, we've already got a problem with the numbers. Because I just changed this one. Alright, let me delete that one and just do this again. So this is now the extra line that I want to add between text 12 and text 10. So because I left, I know I'm messing this explanation up now. Let's go back in time so I can explain this properly, where we now want to add a line of text between the venue and the reception info. So I want to add an extra line in. Because I left a space, so we started from the bottom, we said okay, this one is text 14 right there, and this one is text 12, so we've left one space, the text 13, between these two. And now this one is text 12, which means this one should be 11, but we're going to make it 10 to leave an extra slot. And if you can, to do that all the way up, so that that last one was 10, so this one should be an 8. So I try to leave a line between some things that doesn't really make sense, like between the date and the time. You wouldn't be putting any text between those two. Those two are always going to belong together. The same pretty much with the venue name and the venue address. You're not often going to have anything between those two lines, but between everything else, you could have a need to add different text. So okay, let's just finish renumbering these. We're actually going to make that, because I think we were trying to add in some text somewhere. So okay, let's change that to time. What I also try to do is match the case of the label to the case of the text, because sometimes the customer might delete your text and they're thinking about what they're going to put in there, or whatever it is, and then they don't remember how you had it, because they've now removed your text. They don't know, was it lowercase or was it uppercase. So I always try to match the label to the case of the text. So you can see this one, it's date in all caps because it's all caps, and then the time is in all lowercase because it's all lowercase. Alright, so that's text 7. So I think this one, yes, is text 6, because those will always be one after the other. And then this one is 6. I don't even remember what I was trying to do. I think I was trying to add this in above. I don't know. But anyway, the point is, a good thing to do when you're starting out is go from top to bottom. And so you start that one at number 1, knowing that you can put something above it and make that a text 0. Hello? Why is that an 11? Okay, I don't know. Sorry. So yeah, your top line, you can make a 1 or a 2 if you want, it doesn't really matter, but you're leaving space in case you want to add an extra line above your top line. Then the same between this one, so this one would be your 1, so that should be 2 because it's right underneath, but make it a 3. And again, this one can be right after it, so that's let's say we change that. Okay, I'm not going to do it because it's going to cause all sorts of trouble, but this is text 2, make the name text 3, so those can be one right after the other because you're not going to put anything in between. Although I say that you could have some wedding invitations have the first name in large letters and then underneath in smaller, sometimes it's script or whatever it is, they'll have the middle and last names underneath each person's name. So it is possible that you might want to add something in between Angelina and James. So you can leave one open slot between those two in terms of the numbers. So generally I would make that a number 1, the next line a number 3, that one can be number 4, or you could say, okay, no, I want to leave space, so I'm going to make it, this one should be, this one is number 2, that I'm going to make this one number 4. So I'm going to leave an extra slot so that if I decide I want to create a design that has the middle names or last names, whatever, that it's easy for me to add that without having to go through and renumber it. Because as you've probably noticed, I've had a couple of issues because it's sometimes difficult with my brain fog, certainly, to figure out what should be a very basic thing. And renumbering these is not rocket science, but I've given myself many a headache. So these are the tips that help me, so that I can really use any of my wedding invitations as a template to create a new one without having to go through this nightmare of adding the text and then giving it a number and labels and all that. It's great when it's already there and you can just reuse it, but as I said, you want to be able to, you want to make it flexible enough so that you can add additional text blocks in between wherever you want, and the easiest way to do that is, as I'm saying, leave an open slot between each element if you can. So you would go from that being 3, you would make that one 5, this one you would make 7, you would make that one 8, because they will always go one under the other, and then you would leave a slot at 9, so you would make that one 10 and that one 11, because once again the venue name and the address are going to go one underneath the other. So I think I said that was 11. So then you would make this one 13, so that you can put something in between there. And then the QR code, there's also leaving one, because I think that one's 12, yeah, and that's 14. So if you need to add something in between these two, very easy to do it. So that's essentially that with the text. So just again to remember, is this number tells the Zazzle in what order these things must be, these elements must be presented to the customer for them to customize. So it is important that the numbering is important, because it's going to go the order. The Zazzle tool doesn't look at the order that they appear in. It's only looking at this number. So this text number is the only thing that Zazzle is looking at when it chooses, when it sets up the personalization options. So yes. And you can change these numbers to whatever, because what happens is if you add something new, like I wonder if it's going to let me now turn this. So this is now new text I've just added, and I want to make it a template object. I click on that. It automatically has created this one as text 13. Now why 13? Because if we go here, that's interesting. Oh, of course, I know why. Okay, I was about to explain that anyway. Okay, so it's made, there it is, yes, text 13, which means it's going to come between the dinner and dancing to follow and the thing here, the QR code. Sorry. Oh my gosh, I've just realized I've spent, I don't even know how long this is. Oh my gosh, it's an hour and a half. Oh my word. I haven't even shown you photos yet. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to just wrap this up, and then I'm going to show you where I get my photos from and show you some examples. I just want to give you the places to go look, so that you can start looking. So then the next video we will do the actual design. We will add a photo to this wedding wedding invitation, and then I'll do another example with something like a cushion or a blanket or something like that. So we'll do adding a photo to this wedding invitation, and then we'll do a completely different product. Maybe we'll do a mug or a cushion, something like that, just to also show you how you add a photo to that. There are some issues around photo sizes, and we'll talk about all of that. So for right now, I'm going to show you two places that is where I get all of my photos. So the first one is unsplash.com. So I'm going to give you the free options, and then also some of them have paid options. So Unsplash, you can, you see there it says get Unsplash Plus. I've never checked. They were free up until a few months ago, really, I think. So I haven't actually looked at their pricing. Alright, so $4 a month. Is that yearly? Monthly $10 a month. I don't have the premium account. Essentially, if I come here looking for photos, and there are some really beautiful photos, some really talented photographers. So let's say okay, so I'm looking for a photo for my wedding invitation. I type in couple, and maybe let's go couple at the beach. Let's see what we get. Oh wow, and isn't that nice? A proposal, how perfect. So what you need to do, I see this is the problem now. So they have a free license, and then there's Unsplash Plus, and that's what we just looked at. That's $10 a month. So you can see these photos that have a plus sign in the top left. Those are premium images, so you have to have an Unsplash Plus account. In other words, these are not available free. So what I always do is I put in my search term, and then I go click on this license drop down, and I choose free. So now it's only going to show me free images. So there's no cost involved. You don't have to create an account. You don't have to give them your credit card details, none of that stuff. So you just have a look through to see what you can find, and you will develop an eye for it if it's not something you already have an eye for, because as I said, the photos matter. First of all, you've got to think about the kind of person who is going to be buying your product, and you want to try and reflect them, but also kind of present the sort of idealized version. So you really want very high quality photographs. You don't want to use a photo of you and your other half sitting by the pool. It's just not going to create the amazing thing that you want. So for example, I'm looking at this photo, and this is a really and of course this is a photographer I love. He has some great photos, so I'm not surprised, and I am actually going to download it. So sorry, I didn't show you what I did there. So if you mouse over an image that you like, at the bottom left here you can see the name of the photographer, and if you click on that, it will open up that photographer's profile. So you can then see all of their photos, and at the bottom just look for that load more button, and then you can see all of their photos. And the great thing is what you can see, so you've seen now we've got a couple of photos of the same kid. I think these two are the same, the same. So this is nice if you're trying to create a gift with a photo collage. You want it to look, well, I certainly do. I mean, some people just slap whatever old photo on, but I try to make it as close to what the real thing would be. A person who's buying a blanket for a family member isn't going to throw on, if it's got 8 photos on it, 8 photos of completely different people. You're going to see the same people in your family. So I try to approximate that. It is very difficult, and unfortunately it's especially difficult when it comes to black representation. So if you're trying to find a black couple, whether they're in a wedding, if it's wedding photos or what, it's very difficult to find really good quality photos. There just aren't many of them out there, and it is really sad, because representation is important and it does matter. And unfortunately it's kind of a bit of a vicious cycle, because even when you really do want to, and my sister has the same issue, she's also a graphic designer, and we always complain about it, it's very difficult to find, photos of minorities in general, to be more representative in your products. It is an issue. But anyway, where you can find matching, pictures of the same people, in different, or even the dog in the different clothing, different environment, whatever it is. Like you can see, we're definitely seeing the same dog and the same little boy. So where you can find that sort of stuff, it is great to download those. So yes, we're looking at this Nathan Dumlau, his portfolio. But as you can see, I mean, his photos are very good quality. He clearly is a professional photographer. You have some amateurs on this site, but most of the photos, as you can see, we're going through them, most of the photos are really excellent quality. But anyway, you want to try and find, let's just go back to our search results. So couple at the beach, I'm going to download this one. So you just click on the put that in there. Actually that was a stupid place to put it. Save it again. So you download it. You can see there it says say thanks. You can give a shout out to the photographer, or copy the text below, to attribute. So I mean, if you want to share, give a share on if you have social media. Sorry, I can't do two things at once anymore. Photos. Okay, photos, and what am I? This is a couple, so we're gonna find couples. Where is it? Oh, there we go. So it's not a set. When I say set, this is just, it's one photo on its own. I don't think there are any other. I mean, those might be the same couple. I don't know. This is another lovely photo. So we're gonna download that. Okay, also in couples. And you'll learn, once you look around a lot, you'll find photographers whose work you really like. You want something that really looks contemporary. It looks like a photo that was taken by a professional. And you're looking at the colors, and the whole vibe that gives off. This is a very different energy to this. So what's going to match your wedding invitation? This might be the perfect photo for a couple who are having a nothing fancy, just love themed wedding, where it's like, we're not doing a whole big thing, so they're not going to have a professionally shot engagement photo, or if they do, it's going to be something like this one at the bottom middle there, where it's a very casual and relaxed sort of vibe. So you're going to think about all of those things and just find professional photographs that really look nice. We're going to use this one, but I think I'm going to save that for the next lesson, and we'll do that because I'm starting to lose my voice, and I'm sure you all have long since bailed. If you have stuck around right to the end, congratulations, and thank you very much. And as always, please do, if you have any questions, post them in the group. Or if you want to, DM me, that's also fine. I'm really more than happy to help with advice or suggestions. So please feel free. And I also want to make sure that I'm getting across the information that you need. So if I do a video and you still have questions, I'm happy to, do recaps or address, any confusion. So please just let me know. I decided I needed to do a recap of the setting up the using the design tool, because I know I did it last time, but I kind of felt like maybe I hadn't given enough explanation. When you've worked with something for years, you kind of forget that, when you're explaining to someone who doesn't know it, you can forget some of the oh God, Lord, I don't know why I'm going on and on. All right, so next one we will I will show you how to add a photo as a template object to your design. So I would suggest that you maybe have a look at Unsplash, and whatever it is you're planning on doing. If you want to do, you're going to do a gift shop, so you want to rather do a cushion. You're not going to do a wedding invitation, but you want to do a personalized cushion. We will do that as well. So have a look on Unsplash or FreePic. FreePic is the other one. That's this one, freepik.com. They have a really this site I use, and I happily pay my subscription every year because I'd be lost without it. They have some fantastic AI tools that have done amazing things, which I'll show you when we get to that sort of area of the thing. They cost, if you're paying monthly, $850 USD a month. You also get 7,000 AI credits. I will sort of maybe touch on what their AI stuff can do, because it's quite incredible. But mostly the reason why I like FreePic is because you can get photos. So we searched on Unsplash for couple on beach, and let's hit search, and then on the left hand FreePic, I only want to see photos, so I'm going to click on the photos, and you can see we're getting obviously different photos, but also very professional photos. You want to look at, I guess what it is you want to imagine the most idyllic representation. So, obviously you want young, beautiful, gorgeous people. They've all got perfect figures, and there's not a wrinkle in sight and all the rest of it. That's the idealized version. And that's not to say that you don't want to perhaps do a wedding invitation where you have an older couple, like an elderly couple who are getting married, because they do get married too. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about representation. You want to have all different kinds of couples, and some photos are just harder to find. You want a photo of a young white couple, Bob's your uncle. Take you a couple of minutes, if that. But once you start to get into other demographics, it starts getting harder. But FreePic has an astronomical amount of images. You can see here it's for this search, so for couple on beach, 218,000 photos. So yeah, and the great thing is that FreePic also has an AI tool. So if you go here and you go to their AI suite at the top there, and AI image generator, and this one is really good because the Canva one is shocking. But this free pick one is quite amazing. I'll show you some some fun stuff next time when we talk about it. But yeah, so I would say to go, because, oh sorry, free pick, what I did mean to tell you is that there are free images. So yes, I have a subscription, and the pricing plans, for if you pay, oh sorry, I think I just told you this, um, $8.50 a month. Oh Lord, Nathalie, no. Oh, sorry, yes. So you can search for something. Let's just say couple. And you can search for here under license. You search for free. Basically, you can see which ones are premium because they have this little crown in the top left of the image. So if you see that, you know you have to have a subscription. But you can just much more easily select free under license when you get your search results, and then it's only going to show you free images. And like to say, okay, you know, out of these, let's say these, these four photos, which one would you choose for your wedding invitation, or you know, whatever, wedding save the date? This one, even though it is great to have a black couple and another black couple, this one, first of all, they're not smiling, and it's just not a particularly romantic, you know, with the studio backdrop. Whereas this is outdoors, it looks like it could be someone's actual engagement shoot photo. So, and then the nice thing is you can see already that there are more photos, that this was a series of photos. So you can go to discover similar, where you are likely, there you go, you see, so you can see that these are the same. So this is great because you want to have one photo on the save the date, a different photo on the wedding invitation, and you know, maybe your table cards have photos on, and so you want other photos. So it's nice to have a series of photos that are clearly the same couple. So it kind of just makes sense. It's not even something that a customer might necessarily consciously notice, but it definitely adds to the overall feel of the quality of the product. Because, you know, as I said, those other photos, you know, first of all, these are all studio shots, but you know, the sort of the outfits that these ones are wearing is not, yeah, it's just these two are not, they're not in the same league as this photo here. There's a lot of different things about this one, and you know, unfortunately, a lot of it is whether you have an eye for it or not. And that's just one of those things no one can teach you, but I guess you will learn with experience, because you'll see what happens when you pick that one photo that is much better, you know, where you've started to see the difference and understand the difference between this one and these three. And it will make a difference to your sales. So that's why I say the photos that you choose are very, very important. So maybe you can use the time before the next video to have a look at free pick, you know, search and look at their free items, and the same on Unsplash, and see what you can find. You know, as I said, whether you're looking for photos of couples for wedding stuff, or you know, want a family photo for a family gift cushion or blanket or whatever, you know, whatever it is you think you might want to design, just find photos and have them ready for next time, so that when I will go through the step-by-step process of adding photos or images, and you can follow along. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna call it there. We will, as I said, the next one we will come back to this, sample invitation of ours. I'll just fix all the nonsense in here. And we will add a photo to the back of the invitation. So, and obviously a photo that the customer can update and can replace when they come here to personalize the text and all the rest of it. So that's what we'll cover next time. I suspect we will do publishing probably after that, because as I said, there's been a lot of upheaval, and I'm not the only one struggling to wrap my brain around it. Everybody is struggling, so that does make me feel a bit better, because I got less than no chance if people with normal functioning brains are struggling. But thankfully there's some kind people who have given pointers, so I'm experimenting with something, and as soon as I have a bit more confidence in what I'm doing, I don't want to, because obviously you need some kind of guidance in terms of what royalty rate to charge, and that's what I'm trying to figure out, because it has changed. So yes, so we will get to actually publishing a product, but as I said, don't worry too much. I mean, I'm sure you might want to be anxious to get going, but you need a few designs. So keep designing, because although you must be careful, sorry, I just realized now, you can't use a product as your template until you've put it up for sale. So these things, the ones that you've saved but you haven't published, are here. Now you'll see the ones, the other designs that we went to look at, where I was trying to figure out the font size, those also come up under your saved design. So everyone, if you're a customer of Zazzle or not, you will have any products that you go and look at the design tool, you will have them show up here. So when I see them, when I remember, I just delete them, because obviously I'm never going to use those. So these are the ones I'm interested in. You do actually have the option to specify save designs or private products. So private products would be the ones, other people's designs. Save designs is your designs. So you can't take this one, if I click on that to open it, and change it completely as if it was a template, because what you will then do is overwrite your saved design. So what you can do though, if you have now text that you're happy with there and you want to reuse it in a new design, you go to personalize, get into the design tool, click the edit using design tool, and then you just copy it all. So you just click and drag to select it all, Control C, open up your new invitation. You'll have to actually do it. Sorry. Let me go here to my stores. Store. What am I doing here now? Oh, I'm wanting to create a new invitation, right? So I'm going to go click on create new product, and it's usually one of the first ones, because these, yeah, you see it's the first one. These are all the most popular products, the top selling products. So they put them in this order because most people are wanting to create these. So if they click on the Zazzle create button and they come here, obviously Zazzle wants to present them with the products that sell the most. So invitations are always going to be number one. And as you may have noticed, business cards are number two. stickers and foam core boards. So these are event things, parties, weddings, funerals, and stickers as well, usually for events. So yeah, so you can also learn a lot from having a look at what order these products in. But anyway, so we want to do the flat invitation, so we're going to click on it, and then we're going to add your design, and just click in the middle there and Control V to paste everything we copied from the other design. And you'll see all of the text numbers are there, so it's all, you look at the layers, you can see they've all got labels, so it's all ready for you to customize as a completely new design. But again, I will recap that as well next time. Yeah, I think that's it. I hope I haven't forgotten anything glaringly obvious. And I hope that wasn't too overwhelming for you. I am sort of planning to recap a lot of this kind of stuff that's a little more, involved, a little more complicated. But if I'm annoying you and giving too many recaps, or you're like, we've got it, just let me know in the comments under the video on the group. Yeah, because I'm I don't know unless you tell me. Maybe I'm not giving enough recaps, and yeah, just let me know, because I'm happy to adapt and adjust. Yeah, and yeah, just let me know. Sorry, I need to go. All right, so better days, everybody. I hope you're all having the best Monday you possibly can, and I'll chat to you guys soon. Oh, there's more.